Everybody tells us that we're supposed to love ourselves, but the question is, what the hell does that even mean? Hey everyone, and welcome to the I Got This podcast with LEX and MGP. My name is Lex, and I've been a personal trainer over the last 5 years. Martha started her fitness journey with me 3 years ago, and over that time, she's lost over 60 pounds and changed her entire perspective on life. Join us each and every week as we talk about our journey together, healthy lifestyle habits, and of course, the I got this mentality. Hey everybody, and welcome back to I Got This Pod with Lex and MGP. Today we are talking about self-love. We sat down about this topic, and the first thing that Martha asked me is, what's the difference between self-love and self-care?
I mean, you hear so much about self-care these days.
Yeah.
I mean, every staff meeting I go to, they add, 27,000 more things that we need to do. But at the end, it's always like, but take care of yourself. Practice self-care.
But make sure you're taking a bubble bath and going for your walks and,
at 2 a.m. when you get all these other things done.
Yeah.
Right? So, and so when you brought up self-love, I'm like, do you mean self-care? And you're like, no, self-love. So I actually am confused on the difference between the two.
I like that. I think that's a really good thing to distinguish. Over the last 5 years, I've been working on myself and trying to be the best version of myself. And I think the biggest feedback that I got from my mentor was, I don't believe that you truly love yourself. And I always had a bit of an ego and quite a bit confidence, even an undeserved confidence almost. Like I would walk into a room and be like, I own this room, but it wasn't out of love. It wasn't out of thinking that I actually have the qualifications or my self-worth and that type of thing. I think self-care and self-worth or self-care is different than self-worth, and self-worth is the same or similar as self-love. Do you agree with what I'm saying?
No, I do hear you, because we were talking about this a little bit off air before we came on, and you asked about when, I started loving myself. And now that you're saying it in that way, I kind of agree that I might be similar to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like I'm not confident when I walk into a room. So it's probably more ego, like you said.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between walking in with ego, walking in like, I'm the shit. And then there's a difference of walking in a presence of, I'm confident in who I am, what I deserve, and who I want to become. And I'm confident walking into a room. I know for me in the past, when I was a 22-year-old walking into the room, like, I am this person of grandeur. And I did have, it was an ego. It was a big ego. It's
like you're proving something.
Yeah. Like you prove something. You're trying to you're trying to show that you are something bigger than what you actually believe yourself to be.
Well, that's where that whole imposter syndrome comes in. I think sometimes we've talked about already. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at certain people and you're like, I'm shocked that you don't love yourself. But until you look inward, there's no way of really knowing. And it's funny too, because you can put on that front of showing, I love myself. I like who I am.
Oh, sure. Everybody does that at times.
Yeah.
But, it's part of what's expected out of us too. And I think when we realize that everyone struggles with this, it makes it a little easier to come to grips with.
It does. And then once you do learn to love yourself, I do think life becomes more enjoyable. You find peace, joy, and daily happiness in your own soul versus looking for, okay, well, when I'm with this person makes me happy. When I put on this front, then I'm happy. But when you love yourself, you find peace and knowing whether I'm alone or I'm apart, I will be okay and I will be confident in who I am.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, you have to start talking to yourself with love.
Exactly. Self-love, I believe, is knowing your self-worth, loving who you are, your personality, not trying to put on a front when you're around people and putting on a mask when you walk into rooms or get on it online or anything along those lines. I think it is how you speak to yourself. If you are kind and loving, I think it is confident being truly and honestly confident in who you are, what you're doing, and how you do it. Working on yourself, it's okay to love yourself and also want to be better. I think those two things go hand in hand because humans are meant to grow. Humans are meant to expand. They're meant to evolve, right? It's what we do. It's who we are innately. So I do think it's okay to want to love yourself and be confident in yourself as well. I think self-care, soul and face and like that type of thing. So I think it is self-care is the acts that aid in self-love.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It really does. Because that's what I think of when you say self-care. I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting a massage, or I'm sitting in the hot tub, or I'm journaling, or I'm, reading a book that I really want to. Just that kind of action. Yeah, more than self-love.
Yeah.
Which is more internal.
Exactly. I do think age and wisdom on this is very valuable. I think young people are the people who dislike themselves the most.
I think you go through waves, but yes, definitely. I think that I've done a better job with this in the last probably 5 years. I've started to really prioritize myself. And I think that comes too with being a mother sometimes. You are always last, it seems like. You have a husband, you have kids, you have parent, whatever. And so I think learning to prioritize myself has been a huge part of that. Also trying to give myself a break from judging myself. For the longest time, it was more, why can't I get in shape? Why do I look this way? Why, those why questions. And now I'm actively taking a role in making it happen.
Right.
So I think I have to trust myself that I can do this and be true to myself about doing it as well. And so I think that's where the self-love has come in for me. And I've done a better job over the last 5 years or so. I've also forgiven myself for things maybe in the past. So that may have contributed to putting me in a place I didn't want to be, but it's okay. That's the past. What I'm doing in the present for my future is what I want to do. And I think that's where you discover that you love yourself.
Yeah.
That you're taking the time, you're prioritizing yourself, and you're doing the things you need to do to accomplish your goals.
Yeah. And to draw awareness to the person that you want to become. Always.
Yeah, you have to trust yourself on this. There were so many times where I just didn't trust my gut. Now I do. So
how amazing it is. It's almost innate, like who you are deep down and deep inside of you does guide you to be the person that you were meant to be, the person that is the best version of yourself. And when you start trusting that, it's really quite shocking what can happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I totally agree with that. Putting on different hats or different masks depending on what role you were playing. Depending on what group of people I was with. And not that I was always a people pleaser per se, but there are just ways you act or ways you did things around certain groups. Now I'm kind of like me or don't, but this is who I am.
Yeah.
And not in a way that I'm going to be rude about it, but just I'm trying to be authentic to myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of letting myself get out of that self-judgment zone.
And isn't it shocking the people that we like to be around the most are the ones who are the most confident in their authentic self and the most genuine in who they are?
Yeah,
those are
the people you don't have to put airs on with, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
This is who I am. This is my life, and like it or don't, but hopefully you like it. But
yes.
And that's how it works. Exactly.
I think when you Google how to love yourself,
okay,
here are the things that will journal every day and write affirmations and go for a walk every day and exercise. And it does
check.
Yes. But you can do all those things and you can do them in a way that's not loving yourself because you're trying to build these habits, but it's your mindset when you are doing these things. And yes, I believe affirmations truly work. I do. I think when I say I am worthy, I can do whatever I set my mind to. I believe my mind hears that and then my actions in turn.
I actually used to hate doing that, to be honest. The journaling and the affirmations, I hated it. I'm like, this is so corny. This is so stupid. Why am I doing this?
You're not alone in feeling that. You're not.
And, you pushed me a little bit on that and you're like, just do it. I'm fine.
And did one day you look at it and you're like, wait, I actually believe these things?
Well, now I feel incomplete for the day if I don't get it done for some reason.
And do you feel, when you write them now, Is there a difference to it? Has your mindset changed since doing it for so long?
I mean, because they used to be pretty basic, and that's okay. I mean, that's where I started, right? Baby steps. It'd just be kind of like, I'm great or I'm strong or whatever it was. And now they're a little bit, sometimes it can just be a single word. It depends on the day, but they have more meaning.
Describe them to me, please.
So my word this year has been fearless. And sometimes I just write that on my page. And so fearless doesn't mean without fear. And I think we've talked about this already.
Right.
Because obviously you're going to do things that you're going to be frightened to do or afraid to do. But fearless means embracing the fear. And I'm not talking about doing something crazy. I'm just talking just in general, right? Because there's a lot of times walking into a situation with people you don't know could be frightening. So fearless just means to me is kind of doing it anyway. And once you become fearless, life becomes limitless, is kind of what I've gone with my theme for this year. And so that's what that means for me. Just, I know you're going to be afraid to try something new. Just do it anyway. See what happens.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yes, exactly. So, and once again, I'm not talking about like life-defying things or anything.
Right.
But so that's been kind of one of mine. And then the other one has been just enjoy the journey. Don't worry about the finish line anymore. I used to always have a finish line. I need to lose these many pounds. I need to get this done by a certain date. Obviously you have deadlines sometimes with work or whatever. I'm not talking about that. But enjoy the way there. Don't just be like, oh, I got to do all this work to get this done so I can be here by that, And so now that I've just taken a breath and realized enjoy the process as well, it's taken a load. It's like,
I love that. You feel lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's back to kind of that prioritizing yourself and talking to yourself with love. But the self-affirmations, like I said, used to totally think it was corny. Even journaling, I would struggle to write a sentence more than a sentence or two. Be like, I have to journal today because Alexa says I have to journal today.
Yes.
It's something like that.
I'll tell you mine. I'll never forget it. When I was starting to become a good trainer, and now it has come into fruition very much so, but it started as this thing that I was not, and now it feels as though it's something without ego that I truly am. But I would say this every day, like I would repeat it in my mind. I wouldn't even. Sometimes I'd say it out loud in the car, and I do believe saying it or writing it down, again, putting it out into the universe, but also making your mind see it and hear it versus just your mind saying it makes a very big difference. But I'll never forget what I used to say. And it was, I am the highest, I make the biggest impact in the game and I'm the highest paid player to ever do it. And I do believe, I believe that I'm impacting people. Do I think I'm making the biggest impact? God, no. But I do believe I'm impacting people. Highest paid player? Okay, no, not really. Hopefully one day. And I do believe as I repeat that, I am stepping into that. And it's true. It's true. If you repeat those affirmations and repeat how you're speaking to yourself, it does change things. I do want to move into your self-talk in your actual head as well. So your train of thought is a repetitive nature. So how you speak to yourself is a habit, of course. So if you wake up in the morning, you say, I'm so lazy because I woke up late and now I'm late. You're like, you POS, whatever. Right. If I'm speaking to myself in that way, I'm not going to feel very good about myself the entire day. So I have two questions for you, Martha.
Okay.
What are your negative self-talk patterns? And then what are your new self-talk patterns? How your brain speaks to itself when you do something good, when you do something bad, because this is different for everyone.
It depends, I guess, on the situation. But for a long time, and this is not true anymore, but especially we'll go fitness journey first. In the beginning, I had a lot of success immediately and then some stalling. And I would get on the scale every morning and that would dictate what I was going to say to myself for the day.
That dictated how you felt and what you were going to say.
And that is not uncommon. I bet if you were to pull a lot, especially your female clients.
Probably.
They may or may not admit it, but yes.
Or looking in the mirror. If you say, let's say a lot of people don't even have a scale sometimes. I'm sure a lot of females do. But I think even if the first thing you do is you have a mirror in your bedroom, or I have a closet room, I have a dressing room. And when I walk in, the first thing I see is a mirror. It's the first thing I do is judge how I look that morning. So am I bloated? Is my stomach big? Does my face look puffy? Do I look tired?
Right. That can set the tone for sure.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was maybe the scale. And if it was up a little, which on any given day, of course, it can be up or down, right?
Yeah.
But if it was up, you'd be like, oh, what is wrong with you? Why aren't you working hard? You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
And if it was down, you'd be like, I am a champion.
I am a champion. I'm a god amongst men.
Kind of. I mean, I know that sounds exaggerated, but it could set the tone. Like, you know, and it might even be, well, there's no reason even to explain why it would be up or down. Nothing that you could put your finger on.
Right.
But you're right. The mirror could also be that. If I went to bed late, I stayed up too late, you know, watching TV or some stupid reason. And then I look in the mirror the next morning. And for me, if I don't get enough sleep, the bags and the circles under my eyes show out.
Yes.
Just that's the way my skin tone is.
Me too.
And so if I have circles, I'm like, oh, you know, and then you're like, how am I going to, I'm going to look tired all day. I'm going to look like I'm dragging. If I'm under a lot of stress, I'll get like a crease right in here. So you know.
That's my vein that I get right
so
here.
Everyone's got something, you know. And if you got that, you're like, oh, wish I had bangs today. But
I get it. Yeah. How you speak to yourself is determined, like that really determines a lot of your self-value and self-worth, right?
You carry, I feel it through the day.
Yes.
No, I do.
It is your day. You are the only person that you're doing absolutely everything with, right? You are the only person that you are literally stuck with listening to all day long.
100% of the time, I'm with me.
Exactly. It's the voice in your head. So let's say there's a pattern that you do every morning, and then that pattern is the thing that determines your self-worth for the day. So you step on the scale, you're worthy or you're unworthy. Or you woke up late, you're worthy or you're unworthy. We have to, number one, change the thing that determines that. And now you can't stop a habit. You have to do something different. You have to replace the habit. You can't just be like, okay, I'm not drinking coffee every morning, so I'm drinking nothing. No, you have to replace that habit with drinking water, or you have to replace it with something else. So number one is figuring out what determines when you wake up in the morning, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel bad, what starts that, how you're speaking to yourself. And then when you notice yourself being mean, what are you replacing it with? What minds, when you hear yourself say, oh, you are disgusting, do you stop yourself and be like, whoa, that's really mean. Whoa, that's mean. Let's change it. So have you seen those Instagram reels? It's a video of a girl, and she's like in her 20s. And then she's like, when I'm being really mean to myself, or where she's at now in life, and she's like, when I'm being really mean to myself, I think of this girl. And then it's a picture of her when she was like a little girl. And she's like, I have to stop myself and remember I'm still talking to this like cute little 4 or 5-year-old who's innocent and has done no wrong. So I'll show you the video.
Okay.
But and we'll put it up on our reels so you guys know what we're talking about. We'll do it for ourselves. You should be talking to yourself kind as though you were talking to a small child. Humans are just, adults are just big little kids. Our mind is the same. We still need to speak to ourselves as if we are nurturing a small child.
Well, and honestly, when I've had some of those negative thoughts, the way I've kind of changed that is, would I say this to somebody else?
Yes, that's a good way to put it too.
You know, I would never be this mean or critical of someone else.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I've stopped myself.
That's a really good way to put it. I like that a lot. So one thing, how I noticed when I was getting out of bed one morning, it was, the sun woke me up. It was a great morning. Like, oh my God, this is my self-talk now. I noticed I was curled up in bed. I was like, okay, little honey, it's time to get up now. And I could literally, and I'm so nice me. And I was like, get you a little bit in the shower, you know, like, but I would love hearing a little voice. Okay. So I love waking up and being like, oh, that's my new self-talk. That's crazy, because I stopped myself from being so hard on myself, I guess.
Well, I've been noticed in the last few years, and I think part of it was the fitness too, but I'm sleeping better than I used to. And when I used to, the alarm would go off for work, I'd just be like, oh, I gotta get up. And so you start with that negative energy too.
That's so true.
You know, I've got to get up. I've got to go to work. I got to. Now, of course, we still have those days. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say 100% of the time I'm like, yay, get out of bed.
Yay, great day. Yes.
But it's less and less for sure. And even though I get up before the sun is up to get to work, I do find myself like, oh, it's a new day. You know, I don't have that awful dread of getting up and getting going. And, you know, I'm more excited about my days.
Yeah. Because you wake up and you're like, okay, I get to have this new opportunity to change my life, or I get this new opportunity to grow and to be the best version of myself.
Right. No, I mean, I'm trying to find exciting and new ways, and I'm excited. Now it is August, so I'm like, oh, school's coming, but I'm actually excited about the new school year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be back to as normal as possible, because it's been a rough couple of years. But you know, it's exciting to look at that and to see these new students and get in there with them, and you know, get to work. So I'm looking forward to that as much as I do enjoy summer, but. You know, being able to talk to yourself that way and not make it negative is a total game changer for me.
It is. And then we'll always get stuck. Like everybody gets stuck in a rut. Like I'm just bored of life. You know?
Right. It happens.
I just, it's like, today is just another long day. You know, we all have those times. So it's all about awareness of your thoughts. It's all about awareness of your energy and awareness of your attitude. And until you're aware of what you're putting forward, there's no way that you can change what you're putting forward.
No, I couldn't agree more. And it helps sometimes to embrace, for me, it helps to embrace those feelings or to be true to them, even if it's just in my journal, and then let them go.
I love that.
You know, sometimes there is a negative thought that I just can't seem to shake, but if I can write it down, then a lot of times that'll help to get it out there.
And sometimes talking it out with a friend, because
just acknowledging it.
Yeah. Wait, I did want to touch on, you brought it up prior to our episode, toxic positivity.
Okay.
No.
My teacher friends, you know where we're going with this.
Back at the other gym, and I was really like forcing positivity, and I don't know, I liked
it. I know you did. I don't remember this.
Yes, you did. You definitely did. But I was, tell me one good thing about your day.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's going to be a great day. Like,
give me something good, Martha.
It was toxic positive. And then there's a balance between toxic positivity and forcing positivity. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. No, we can all look for something positive every day. But yes, when you're forcing it down,
Eat my positivity.
This is not innate to where I teach by any means, because I teach at a great place, but a lot of, and I can just speak to it from the teachers, coming off COVID, we've had to deal with a lot of learning loss. And so, of course, the state mandates all these things to make up the learning loss. So instead of just getting the kids used to school again, it's get them back into school. You know, they haven't done school for 2 years, a lot of them. And, you know, not only get them back to learning how to do school, but then we have to make up 2 years of learning loss, and we still need to, you know, hit these benchmarks on state mandated tests and, you know, all these different things.
Right.
And so the work level that we were at before is doubled and tripled in cases. And we also have, we're going through a little bit of a teacher shortage right now as well. So there's just a lot going on in the world of education. But every meeting, it always ends with, but make sure you take care of yourself. Take a bubble bath. Like, what?
What does that mean? Right.
Or, you know, as soon as you get your work done, make sure you get out of here. Well, we're not going to get our work done until midnight if you keep on the
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was talking about.
I think there's a lot of burnout. You want to please and you want to do well in your field and you want to help. That's how we are as humans. It's also like, where is that balance? Taking care of myself, or am I doing enough for work? And I don't really have an answer. I think boundaries are the answer, but and self-care takes time. Putting on a face mask takes time.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes at least.
Exactly. Going to the gym, it takes a lot of time. So when
that's non-negotiable. You have to make some of those things non-negotiable.
Yes. Yeah. So to take care of your children, your partner, yourself, and like just your basic needs. And then you're like, wait, I'm supposed to make time to actually like go to the gym and like do these other things. It sounds like such a big task. So
it can be overwhelming at times.
So kind of starting with one thing is sometimes enough when it feels like your world is insane or your to-dos are crazy. But I like what you said, non-negotiables.
Yeah. And people in my life now know that I am going to go to the gym. That's non-negotiable. Or I'm going to get my workouts in depending on what they are. And it's not 7 days a week, but on the days that it's scheduled, and whether it's scheduled with you, which of course then we have a set appointment, or it's you've put in a workout for me, I'm going to get that done. I mean, barring an emergency, of course. And that's non-negotiable. Like they know to ask, not, are you going to the gym today? What time are you going to the gym today?
Yes.
So, and whether that's my husband, my mother, my kids, whatever, that's happening, I'm taking care of me in that respect.
Hey, I'm taking 30 minutes to read a book that fills my soul. Hey, I'm taking 30 minutes to an hour just to go for a walk and be outside in the sun. Because these are the things that fill up my cup, that fill my soul, that make me feel like I am grounded in myself and grounded in my being. Right. So like whatever it may be, yes, exactly. It's not if you're doing it, it's when you're doing it.
Yeah. And this is hard. And speaking directly to the moms right now, this is really hard when you're a mom with kids. And this is the one thing, and I don't even remember which friend taught me this, but I taught this to my own kids when they were beyond infants, but still like toddlers and young. There were times I just needed 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Read a book, take a shower, whatever it was. And the rule was, unless someone is bleeding or throwing up, you're not allowed to talk to mom. And then we'd point to the clock until it said whatever time.
Right.
And so they learned. And I would hear, Mom, I'm like, someone's bleeding? Nope. So
I love that. That's your boundary. Very
obviously, I was in the house with them. They were being monitored.
Right. And I'm sure
they could be in the family room playing toys while I was doing something. But they had, they knew no one's bleeding, no one's throwing up. We're good. Leave mom alone for 30 minutes.
It's setting your boundaries. That's great. That's what you need. Right. And I know that's hard for a lot of mothers.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I can only imagine. Mothers, you freaking rock. Honestly, you do. Well, guys, I hope this sheds some light on self-love. We'd love to hear from you. I mean, again, I do think it sounds like a very impossible task. I don't think that there's a guide. I think step one is, number one, your habits that make you feel a certain way. And then how do you speak to yourself when you do those certain habits? Like, again, and then going back, if a habit makes you feel good and it makes you speak to yourself good, like in a positive manner, then you should do that thing.
Right.
Self-love is knowing your worth, knowing what you deserve, knowing what you will allow, knowing what you will not allow to continue, and in acting and bringing yourself to know that, but then act in that way. So cheers to loving yourself.
Right. Setting healthy boundaries.
And of course, we'd love to talk more on this. So tell us about your self-love.
Yeah, I think this is actually the true I got this mentality. Hey guys, thanks for listening this week. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. For more I Got This content, please make sure to follow, like, and share on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or you can always go to our website, igotThisPod.com, for more info. As always, thanks for listening. See you next Monday.